Alright, welcome back, Okayama. It wasn't that long ago that the Ray was here, but it was with the old suspension. And I'm not sure if there has been any track updates to it because everything feels very different. It's still the same track. You're still braking basically in all the same spots and picking up the throttle, but it just has a very different feel to it, and I'm not sure if that's track or suspension related. So setup is a little bit different. Also, the track temp is I think about 15 degrees warmer than what it was last time out here. So ride height 26 mils, pretty low, pretty low. Curbs aren't too terribly disruptive here. There's an asterisk to that. We'll go over that in the track guide. Damper compression 22. Very easy to lose the back end on this track, and this is just helping keep uh, more of the weight from shifting to the front, so that back end is a little bit more planted. Brake bias 56% for me. For you, it's something different. Probably a little bit on the lower side than what you normally have it. Um, so spring rates low as they go, front and rear, and you know my channel, asymmetrical. 1.6 on the left. It is doing a lot of work. It is doing a lot of work indeed. 1.1 on the right. There is quite a difference. Yeah, you might want to go with 1.6 on both. Yeah, if you're going to keep them symmetrical, go with 1.6 on both. Toe in 1.5. That is to get some of the tire temps up. Surprisingly, the tire temps, and considering the track temp, the tire temps aren't getting super hot. This also gives you more turn in because that damper compression is up at 22. That adds a little understeer, and that is not a good thing. So you need a little bit more turn in. So that is why it is at 1.5. Spring rate slow as they go in the rear. Camber 1.3 on both sides. How about that? They're symmetrical. Yeah, a lot of off camber corners on this track, so the cambers are not turned up too terribly high. Toe in 0.3. Again, that's just to get some temp into the tires and help with braking. Ride height 35 in the rear. So that sounds like a big difference, but with this new suspension, that actually is not a heck of a lot of difference. That just keeps the rake at a positive number. So 53 mils in the front, 54 in the back. ARB is 10. Like I said, very easy to lose it. The back end on this track, lots of high-speed corners. Off camber corners, so the ARB is not turned up. That you can turn it up if you want to give it a go, but it is pretty sketchy, especially on cold tires on this track. And 6 and 18 compression, all that stuff still the same. 13 liters should get you to the end. However, I am a little lighter on fuel usage, so if you want to be safe, try 14 liters. That will certainly be safe. And gear stack, a little hard to see here. It is standard. Um, iRacing may possibly have it set at tall. Tall is a little bit of overkill. Um, with a standard gear stack, you will barely even get to the rev limit in that back or middle of the track straight. So standard it is. Now we got track is 33, so I've been in some practice sessions, 33, 35 degrees, something like that. I think last time we were here it was 20, so that's quite a difference. And usage 35% as usual. Yeah, this new UI, unfortunately, this is kind of in the way. It's a 136.6. 136.6 is my optimum. These sectors are there's not many, it's just 4 sectors, but there's a few corners in each of them, and so it is easy to lose out on one corner. You nail a couple of corners and lose in one, and then your sector time is out. So coming into turn one, we'll do this in slow-mo and then run it out at full speed. Just past the bridge here, I'm actually looking at this blue cone is my reference just before the blue cone. In real time, in my view, it actually looks like I'm very close to the blue cone, but in slow-mo here, I am a little bit further away. Fourth gear, very hard on the brakes. Watch out on cold tires. This is a very sketchy corner. Very hard on the brakes, releasing the brakes as you turn. If you are turning and on the brakes, you are going to be spinning out, especially on cold tires. Don't really like to get onto that curb. It's going to spin up the rears a little bit if you stomp on the gas especially, and picking up the throttle way before the apex. That's very important. A lot of time to be lost here. And then just unwind the wheel, lots of track to your left, and then get the car back over to the right. However, you got to get way over to the right to open this one up. Looking for the sand here just before the little pavement outcropping, and turning in just a whisper of brakes. Just whisper gently onto those brakes just to get that turn in and get the car slowed just a little bit and get onto these curbs. Um, we'll talk about this some more in some of the other corners. In the past, it seemed like really the ideal line was to get a tire actually over these curbs, just to help cut the corner and really get the car rotated through the corner. With this new suspension setup, maybe it's just me, maybe I've lost a step or something, but I cannot go over these curbs and make them work. So yeah, on top of the curb just to cut that corner, and then make sure you're on the throttle nice and early. This section here, you can lose a lot of time if you are late on the throttle. If you're battling through that corner, the guys behind you are going to catch up real fast. And then just try and straight line it through this section. If you are cranking the wheel a bit, you can scrub some speed. So looking just before the sand here, or you can use the 50 board, about a car length or two in front of it, getting on the brakes, fourth gear. Watch out, practice defensive lines. If there's a car right behind you, they are going to go on the inside for this one, so watch out for that. Hard on the brakes, down into second gear. This is a late apex. Do not turn in too early. I probably turned in a smidge too early here. Watch getting onto these curbs. As you get on the throttle, your wheel is going to spin, so you don't really want to get onto that curb. And then picking up the throttle and just unwinding the wheel. That's the fastest way to do it. If you are battling, you may want to hold a tighter line onto the right hand side to go defensive into the next one. This is a big straight, big passing opportunity here. Lots of battles, lots of crashes. Watch out. Dive bombing here, or people missing their braking marker. This is a very crashy corner. So looking for the outhouse here, just between the 100 and the outhouse. Again, in real time, in my view, it looks like I'm very much closer to the outhouse, like maybe 3/4 of the way to the outhouse here. Hard on the brakes, down into first gear. This is very hard, and this is downhill, so watch out. If you brake too late, your back end is going to get light. You're going to lock up the tires, you're going to spin, you're going to crash, you're going to go into that sand. Nothing good is going to happen, so do not outbrake yourself into this one. And then tucking into the camber of this corner, it is very cambered. You can carry a lot of speed through here. If you or the person you're racing against was on an inside line and came here with a very narrow approach, it is possible to pass on the outside, but you have to trust that the guy on the inside isn't also going to slide wide and take you out, so do look out for that. Picking up the throttle nice and early, just unwind the wheel, but you do have to get over to the right hand side very quickly. This comes up very quick. There is no great marker. Basically, it's a few car lengths before the gravel out here. Getting on the brakes, second gear. Now this is one of the very different changes here. So if you cut this corner too much, if you're all four tires off track, you're going to get a slowdown, a nasty one, so don't do that. But in the past, the last time round, getting your left-hand tire over the curb into the grass here to cut this corner was a thing. And honestly, it is not a thing anymore. You can cut the corner, but I find you lose so much time on exit speed now that it is just not worth it. So let me know what you think. If you are an old hand at this track, you're probably used to cutting this corner. I just can't make it work. You you gain a little time on entry, of course, but you lose a tremendous amount of time on exit. So on top of the curb, not over the curb, and picking up that throttle nice and early. Unwind the wheel, use all of this green stuff, and then basically once you're on to the curb here, turning in a little bit of brake. Again, just a little whisper of brake. And again, on top of the curb but not over it, and picking up the throttle nice and early. Unwind the wheel, a little bit of green stuff there if you need it. Get the car back on track. Again, lots of battles for this corner. Watch out, there's going to be a lot of different lines through here. People braking early, people braking late, people taking wide exits, people taking narrow exits. It's a mess. So there's a fence post here, an odd one. It's reinforced or something. That is what I'm using as a marker, just past the 50 board if you like that. So down into first gear, very hard on the brakes. Again, this is a very tricky corner, very easy to spin out here. If you outbrake yourself, you are going into the gravel. And right up tight against the curb there again, not on it this time. It is going to spin up your back tires if you get on that, and it's going to bump you and push you wide, and it's not a lot of fun. So stay off of that curb, just right up tight against it, and get yourself way over to the left in first gear, leaving it in first gear. Again, not the greatest marker, kind of where the fence changes angles here. Getting on the brakes, again, just a little whisper, just gently, just a little blow on the brakes, that's all. And then picking up the throttle, managing the throttle, picking it up again, not on these curbs. You're going to spin up your tires if you get onto those curbs. And make sure you're on the throttle nice and early, unwind the wheel. You got some curb and green stuff on exit. This one, again, we're coming up to one of those weird changes. So looking for the Marshall post here, turning in at the Marshall post. This is a little bit blind, but once you do a few laps, you'll figure it out. But again, in the past, getting your tire into the right here was the way to do it quickly. But again, I cannot make it work. It's on exit, you lose too much speed now. Your delta is just going to go red, and so there's no point in getting in there. So on top of that curb, it is not too slippery. On cold tires, do watch out a little bit though. You might need a little practice there. And then just a car length or two past the end of the green stuff here. Getting on the brakes, down into second gear. Just a short bit of brakes just to load up the car and get the car turned in. Picking up the throttle again, not really good to get onto this curb. It's gonna get your tire spinning. And picking up the throttle nice and early before the apex. If someone messes up this curb, it is a long run to the finish line. It is definitely a chance to overtake, and especially if they get into the gravel here as well, run a little wide, definitely a chance for a pass or to beat him to the finish line if it's the last lap. And then make sure you are on track, and that is, yeah, a big run to the finish line. So that's a 36.6. I think that's going to be competitive. I really honestly don't know with the changes to the car and or the track and the track temp. I'm not sure if I nailed this or not, but I guess we will see. So I'll run this out at full speed. Good luck out there. Watch out. Yeah, a lot of incident points can be racked up on this track. So we'll see you next time.